Today, my guest is Todd Shaffer.
These are incredible explosions of praise and prophecy, and so music really is an important part of this story.
Live your faith and pass it on. Share the gospel clear and strong. Stand for, claim your heritage of truth. Welcome to Heritage of Truth. Today, my guest is Todd Shaffer. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you, Jeanne.
Now, you've got quite an interesting job.
Yeah.
You are a director,
Yeah.
and you do animation.
Yes.
And that's really exciting for me because you do biblical animation.
Yeah, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, and you really care about it being accurate.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So this is a musical that you're just putting out. Tell us about this new musical that's coming out.
Well, it's a 44-minute animated musical on the birth story of Jesus Christ. And when we were considering doing this project, what we noticed was that there was a lot of Hebrew poetry in the account. And so to us it looked like a musical and the best way to approach it, and so that's what we did.
Wow. Well, how did the vision for it develop? Like, the songs and so forth and the script. Did you have anything to do with the writing of it? Or?
Yes, I wrote it.
You wrote the whole thing?
I wrote it, and I was the lead lyricist on it. I had a little bit of help with my composers and another lyricist who we brought on to help. But yeah, I wrote most of it.
So how did your vision for it develop?
That's a good question. I was working in my office one day, and my producer comes in and says, "What do you think about making a baby Jesus film?" And he's agnostic. And so I'm thinking, well, why do you care about a baby Jesus film? And he said, "I think I can raise up some money for this kind of a project." And I thought he was joking. But when I realized that he was serious, which he tends to be, I had this feeling of horror, like, this is not something I want to do. This is not something I want to have as my reputation on my record and that kind of thing as a filmmaker, because I'm a serious filmmaker, I consider myself to be. And so I didn't really want anything to do with this. And he said, "I'm going to come back in an hour and tell me how you would approach this." So I took a deep breath and opened my Bible, and I just started reading through the passage, thinking, I either got to figure out a way to make this go away or a way to make this work. And that's when I started reading, and I just saw poetry after poetry after poetry, and that's when it clicked. And I thought, this is the only way to do this. It is a musical. These are incredible explosions of praise and prophecy, and so music really is an important part of this story. And that's what I did. I proposed it to him, and I thought, okay, maybe he'll say no. This is too much. We're not going to do a musical because we're not musical people. But he said, that's interesting. Let me think about that. And he went away and ran some numbers. He came back and said, I can get some more financing for that.
Really?
Because there'd be CD sales and that sort of thing. So the promise was born.
Wow. So it's called The Promise, The Birth of the Messiah. Is it going to be on television, in theaters? How's it going to be released?
It's going to be primarily a DVD release.
DVD release, okay.
We're going to be hitting the CBA market.
Okay.
And it will be available for churches to broadcast if they want, for site licensing and that sort of thing.
Okay, great. Well, I watched the trailer for it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything that I saw on there, the animation is just so flowy. It flows, it's so pretty, and I thought the music was really nice.
Thank you.
And I felt like you could feel Mary's emotions.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job with that.
Thank you.
Using animation as a tool to share the gospel, that seems like almost a new way to go. Some people have tried it a little bit, but often it seems like they're not biblical, the things that you see. It's like they take shortcuts or they compromise.
Right.
It
had to be biblical. I mean,
right.
I'm a teaching elder at my church. When I did the study for the script, I spent many weeks on it, and the material I actually used to preach to my church through the passage in 10 weeks.
Wow.
So that was quite about a lot of material there to go through. And animation is very expensive, very slow, tedious process. So it's not easy to do stuff that's got this kind of worldview that we're trying to get for such a narrow marketplace. So I think a lot of producers of children's entertainment, they tend to do the moralistic, deistic kind of approach, and sidestep some of the more deeper things. But I think that's changing nowadays.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. In the description, it's talked about using dancers and all this. I don't quite understand. How is animation different today from the way Walt Disney described it to us on The Wonderful World of Color?
Well, it's not that different today in many respects. We still follow the principles that Disney established, his team established. We're still doing the same thing, even though we're working in 3D animation today. We've gone a completely different approach on almost every level in this production. We have built a optical motion capture system, which has served as our base for the animation. So we're able to approach our animation like it's a live action shoot with multiple cameras. So we bring in performers, we stage them. If there's a little bit of a dance move in there or whatever, we stage everything out in the motion capture. And what it gives us is an entire action like it's playing in a stage. And so we capture that action and we apply it to our characters and bring them into the set. And so we put cameras on the top as an aerial perspective, and we're able to play the whole thing, right? And then once we're happy with that, I bring my cameras into the set like I would in the live action shoot, and set up my cameras, and then that becomes what we use to edit the film. And then that is then handed to the animators to polish off the animation.
Wow.
So it's a multi-stage process, but it's basically building off live performance and then bringing in the strength of good traditional animators to complete it.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, haven't you worked for Disney and...
No. I worked in Los
sorry.
Angeles for many years.
Okay.
10 years. I was working primarily in commercials, animated TV commercials, which we specialized in combining live action with animation. And one of our clients was Disney. So there were only a few studios that were approved by Disney to do their animated commercials, and we were one of those studios.
That must be where I got that mixed up. So that's what you were doing before, animated commercials. Wow. Well, what do you think about the influence that animated products are having on children today in general?
Well, depends on which ones you're talking about.
Well, in general,
a lot
what are
of
you
them in
seeing?
general, they tend to be very disrespectful. They tend to have a very secular, humanistic worldview, even though there's morals in it at times. Some of it's really good entertainment. There are a few things that are being produced that are very good, talented entertainment. But in general, for kids, it's secular humanism.
Yeah, it is. That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
So have you thought about where you're going to go beyond this? Do you think there's going to be any more?
Yes, we're already working on our second one, on the Prodigal Son. We're going to bring that to life in this, and that one's going to be a little more operatic. So we're taking the whole musical concept and kicking it up a notch on the next one. And we have some really, really talented people who we're considering for the voices and the singing. So we're very excited about that. And we also have a few others down the road.
Now, are you writing that one too?
Yes.
Or did you write that one too?
Yeah, we're writing it now.
Wow. Are you going to do one for Easter?
We're hoping that will come out for Easter next year.
Yeah, good. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. So, is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers, either about film, animation, about entertainment in general? Just anything that you would like to share.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of changes happening in the marketplace today with distribution, and so Hollywood and the general marketplace and distribution channels are no longer a hindrance to Christian filmmakers now. So things are going to be changing in the next decades, where Christians can actually be developing very pointed content that's strong and faithful to Scripture in a way that they haven't been able to do before. And I think we're living in a very exciting time for this.
Good. And I hope that people will support things like your project, because if we don't support it, it's not going to be able to continue.
That's right.
So
That's
we've got to
right.
be supporting projects that are scriptural and entertaining at the same time and high quality, which
That's right.
it looks to me like it's going to be very high quality.
I hope it's going to be
so-
high quality. We
Yeah.
want people to go to see our films because they're good films, not because they're Christian.
Right.
They have the Christian worldview, but that's not the only thing.
Well,
They're-
we should
they're
be the
great.
best of all. We've got the
That's
God of
right.
the universe behind us, so.
That's exactly right.
That's
We have
right.
the best stories in the world to tell.
And we do, that's right. Well, thank you. Where can people find you online?
GloriousFilms.com.
Glorious?
GloriousFilms.com
GloriousFilms.com.
is our company. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Todd, for being our guest.
My pleasure.
Stand